In April 2018, some staff from the Kentucky Arts Council visited the Appalachian School of Luthiery in downtown Hindman, Kentucky. We interviewed instrument makers Doug Naselroad and Kris about their folk and traditional arts apprenticeship grant, and learned about the many ways that the Appalachian Artisan Center and its partners are using arts, music, craft, and tradition to create jobs and build an economically and physically healthier region. Here is some of what we saw and heard.
Well, come on down to Hindman Town, pull up a chair, sit it there, if you brought a thing to share.
Okay, well, we're rolling right now. So my name is Mark Brown. I'm the Folk and Traditional Arts Director for the Kentucky Arts Council. Pleased to be in Hindman, Kentucky today with Doug Naselroad and Kris, recipients of the fiscal year 2018 Folk and Traditional Arts Apprenticeship Grant to support Doug's teaching as the master artist, the art of guitar building, to Kris, the apprentice. So can you just start out, like, maybe a little background information on the apprenticeship? We have all that in the application, but you're interested in the idea of using local hardwoods, right, to build guitars.
Sustainably yielded Appalachian hardwoods, or tone woods as we say, to the greatest extent possible. It's sort of our community and individual experiment down here. Pretty much everyone that builds guitar down here wants to build it from Knott County wood, shelves from Grandpa's general store, whatever kind of material is suitable for a guitar, and there are a lot of them that have some significance, some rooting in the community. I'm personally able to take a hint when it comes to that, and after doing 4 or 5 different builds where people went out of their way to just use local hardwoods, I've done it also myself, and it's shaping up the way we're doing things down here, really, because there's no reason to send away for things like Brazilian rosewood and Honduras mahogany, which is becoming increasingly scarce. And we've got things here like black walnut, black locust, curly maple. We've got some beautiful curly maple. In fact, Kris cut his own tree not too long ago with curly maple.
Yeah.
I've been stealing little bits and pieces of it. But it's here. I mean, it's all here. Even the spruce that we prefer, to be honest, it comes from the upper elevations of Appalachian Mountains. It's called red spruce. When it comes from further north, they refer to it as Adirondack spruce. But it's the absolute best of the tone woods for guitar tops available out there today for steel string guitars.
And I'd like to spend some time listening to Kris's story, like where you're from, Kris, how you got into music and guitar building.
I actually went to school to be a automotive technician. I worked in multiple dealerships and things like that, and I've always loved music, and I ended up backing away from the automotive industry due to the lack of pay and things like that. Was just looking for new inspiration and stuff, and I was working seasonal with UPS when I noticed the shop here, and I happened to come in and talk to Doug, and he's got a really gorgeous classical up there that had really exotic inlays and stuff in it, and I'd come in and talk to him, and I was like, asking him. I didn't have no idea of what kind of labor goes into them and things like that, but
no idea.
I didn't have no idea at the time, but I had come in and I was like, man, how much is that going to cost, to get that on my guitar, because I'd played music in church and stuff for a while, but he said, well, I think he was afraid to price it, so he said, why don't you just come in and do it yourself? So that's how I kind of got started, and it just went from there. I've built several instruments, dulcimers and and ukuleles, and kind of experimented with the design a little bit. I've kind of designed my own ukulele, and yeah, and I've done a flat iron mandolin.
So one of the reasons that I think your all's apprenticeship was favorably reviewed and as one of the exemplary ones that the Arts Council has ever supported is that y'all focus more. I mean, you have an understanding that this traditional art form is more than just putting together musical instruments, but that there's a whole culture surrounding it, and that part of it is understanding the woods and the tools and the stories behind.
I know that here, the mountain dulcimer has very, very deep historical roots, and we make the mountain dulcimer that's a reproduction of the one that was made here in the 1870s. So we know a little bit about the families, including where our own families have, touched this art form.
What else would you like to say about the apprenticeship? What would you like people who look this up in an archive, 10 or 100 years from now, to know about your time, your kind of focused time here together?
If people look back on us in the future, I want them to know that we used everything we had to realize our dream, and just didn't turn our nose up at a thing, but that we used everything we could get our hands on to make it happen.
I'm about ready to wind this up. I'm going to play another lick. I'm just going to close mic on that.
Yeah.